In this lesson, we're going to be creating an image pop-up window. So selecting an image on our page is going to pop it up in a larger viewing area. So first of all, we need some images, and the images that we're going to be used are coming from placeholder.com. So it gives you the ability to add placeholder images. Not really fancy, just very plain. They give you the ability to create these very grayscale kind of generated images, and you can also color them up and add in some text to them. So let's set those up. And first of all, we need a div that's going to contain all of those. We can call this div, give it a class of pop, and then inside, let's add in our image. So just using our image tag. So we need to specify an image source. I'm going to use this one here that I've got. Create a few more of these. And that almost fit on that line. So let me add it in. You can update the colors of these images. This is a really useful website because it gives you the ability to kind of just get these placeholder images, which are great when you're developing and you don't have the assets on hand. And this can be image number 3. We don't need a whole lot of images for this example. And we could add in even more images, and all of the functionality is still going to be there. So once they're sitting within this pop area, that's where we can have our images, and all of the images that are going to be sitting in there are going to have the same functionality, and we're going to attach that functionality with JavaScript. Some of the other things that we need another div, and this is going to be essentially where we're going to show our images. So where we've got our overlay. So we're starting this out, and we're going to be hiding it, so updating it within the classes that this is going to be a hidden element. Creating our overlay. So this is what's going to overlay the rest of the content, so we can darken that content. And we're also going to close. Using JavaScript, we're going to attach the ability to close our pop-up by clicking the overlay, and as well as clicking a close X. So that's our overlay. We don't need to have any content in there. And then just underneath, this is where we're going to actually place our image. So this is where our output is going to go. So within here, I'm going to create a span and give this one a class of close. So any element that we want to be able to close our pop-up, we just give it a class of close. And then lastly, we need an image that we need to add in here. Using JavaScript is how we're going to add that image. So essentially, that is our modal that's going to pop up. We also need to apply some styling. So in this case, we are doing quite a bit of setup with the HTML and CSS. So it's going to, this is just core functionality that we needed for our modal and for our image. So first we've got a class of hide that we're using, and within hide we've got a property of display none, so we don't want to be able to see that particular pop-up. So when we refresh it, we've got that element there, but we don't have anything sitting within it. Let's update the overlay. So adding in within the overlay, we want it full width, so whatever the width of the page is. And we want to apply this darker color across that entire element. Let's add our background, and we're going to use RGBA. It's actually background color. So updating that and using RGBA. So some of the older browsers might not be able to handle RGBA, so let's keep that in mind. What RGBA is, so it's red, green, blue, and alpha. And the alpha is a value of 0 to 1. So the more we want to increase the transparency of it, the higher of a number that we can go, or the lower of a number that we can do. And we'll set this to position absolute. And this gives us the ability to position it, so we can set it at 0 pixels. Top and left will be 0 pixels as well. So do a refresh. And for now, I'm going to move that out while we're building that up. So you see that we've got our overlay, so that's showing up there. We also need to handle some of our output area, so let's update that. So this is that one that we were looking at where we want to have our image. So this is where the actual pop-up is going to sit. So let's give this output, give it a default width, and we can do it as a percentage, so it's more dynamic. So do a 60% by 40%. Let's set the background color for this one to white, and we'll position this one absolute as well, and we're going to position it off the top 50% and also left 50%. So see what it looks like, and then we can always move it around as well. And we're going to overflow, so we'll hide all of the overflow. We'll add a Z index here so that it is on top of the other elements. So we can give it a Z index of 100. So let's see what that looks like. So refresh. So there's our modal, our pop-up there. Let's actually, we're going to make it a little bit more over to the left. So it should be 20% because our width is 60. And then the top should also be 30. So just make a quick adjustment there. So now it's always going to be centered. So no matter how big we make our screen, it's always going to be centered. So that was because we're working off of a full 100% width, of course. Now let's add in our image into it. So selecting our output class and all of the images that are going to be inside of that output class, setting a width to 100% so it covers full, and also setting a height to 100%. We'll position this one absolute as well, and setting the top to 0 and left to 0 so it goes right to the corner. So that's going to add in our image. We also want to position our closing span. So let's update that one as well. So within our output, we've got a span. We'll position this one absolute as well so we have full control of where this particular span is sitting. And we'll use right. So we'll come on off of the right side. And we can do 5% off of the right side. Adding in the Z index. So this one should be a fairly large Z index. And make it larger than the output. So we can set that to 105 if we wanted to. And we'll set the cursor to pointer and update the color to be white. So do a quick refresh. Actually, the color should be, for now we'll make it black. And we can always adjust this because we can't see it on the white background. So we've got our X there to close our pop-up image. We've got our pop-up image and we've got our modal and everything, our overlay is all ready to go. So we're ready to, so we've set up all of our core HTML and CSS that we need. And now we're ready to move on to the JavaScript where we're going to create all of that interaction and functionality. So that's still to come in the next lesson. I'm just going to adjust this one back to display so we can hide and show it using JavaScript. So all of that is yet to come. So go ahead and set up your own image gallery and we're going to attach to these images JavaScript functionality.